All right, you guys, we're assembling this basketball goal right now for a customer, a client. He's got the pole already there, so whether you put it in concrete or one of these metal bases there, it's up to the customer, of course. It's up to you guys. But this one's a little, it's a little complex with the minimal instructions they have. It's more reading than it is looking at the diagram, so you got to verify everything with the reading portion of the instructions. So what I highly recommend doing with this certain model is going through and verifying all the parts, all the hardware. Like I did here, I checked off everything. The only thing that's missing here was the black pole cap. Yeah, make sure you go through and verify all the hardware. There's 2 pages here. I'm gonna assemble this. I only have myself here, so I'm gonna assemble it and then show you the exact outcome here. But just follow the instructions and go step by step here. Take these guys and put them exactly the way they say. You basically need here a flat washer, lock washer, and 3/8" hex nuts to attach these guys together onto the 3.5 inch pole. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll show you the final result there on that pole right there. So we're gonna assemble all that onto the pole, and it's saying that you need to be 95 inches above the playing surface for the bottom of this plate. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So where we get this mechanism here assembled and then attached to the bracket that's already on the pole over there. So make sure you do that, and then you can move forward with getting those support arms in place. And then I will go on to the next step of kind of assembling these extension arms that are the backboard support arms, and I'll take you through exactly what you need to do to make sure you got the right bolts and washers and things like that, because that's what this customer was kind of struggling with. I'll take you guys through that. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is assemble the 2 extension channels onto the height adjustment mechanism. Okay, we're gonna use these 2 bolts here that go, so these 2 bolts go right through here in their proper place. And then it's all 3/8 inch lock nuts, and you definitely need to use these. These are the pivot bushings, so make sure you get those in place as well. You want it to be able to pivot smoothly. And 2 things to make sure you verify is the opening here. When you assemble this, you gotta have it on opposite ends. So one rectangle opening there, and then the other one at the opposite end when it sits on top. So, and then also another thing is for the bottom where the this hole or opening is gonna be, you gotta have this piece here at an angle facing down. So somewhere along these lines here is where you need the adjustment mechanism on the bottom channel plate. So it's gonna look like that. So you see the cutout here, the top one's in the opposite side, and these 2 holes are gonna attach to the plate that I already have mounted on the pole, and then this plate is an additional one, or there's part of it is gonna be mounted to these 4 holes on the front of the channel, the extension channels here. So I'll show you what it looks like in the end, but make sure you place everything properly, and then it should function as stated in the instructions there. Okay, so 2 very important things here is when you get these 6.5 inch, 3/8 inch bolts all the way through here to the other side, these are the lock nuts you use. The lock nuts have these 2 indentations on them, whereas the other nuts, the 3/8 hex nuts, are just flat all the way around. So you know those are just the standard hex nuts. And there's quite a few of those, so that's how you know they're lock nuts, is with the 2 indentations. That's what you want to use on this portion here of the assembly, and when we get all 8 bolts attached to the square plate there, that square plate, and the one up on the pole there. So again, keep in mind, you want this guy coming out of the bottom hole there. That's where you're going to be able to adjust the height of the hoop. And then as you see here, the front of this adjustment mechanism is screwing this channel piece here, and then the back of it is screwed into this channel piece here. So you don't try to get both, you don't try to get this on one plate, but so it's at an angle, as you can see there. So those are 2 very important things to keep in mind. And then I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next step where we get the whole setup attached to that square bracket on the pole, and then we'll attach the front bracket onto the front end of this guy here. So let's go ahead and go forward. So here we are. We got the channel mechanism and the height adjustment mechanism with 2 bolts on the back bracket in place. I just hand tightened it just to hold it here. But these 2 bolts will hold it in place, and then we'll get the top 2 bolts here. We'll get the top 2 bolts here in a moment. But I just wanted to show you, I want to do everything I can to show you that one person can do most of this assembly. I'll just need help when it's time to get the backboard up there. So this will come together here in a moment, and I'll show you guys how it looks once it's got the all 8 bolts in place with the 2 front and back black brackets there, and the channel mechanism with the height adjustment mechanism all in place and ready for the back. Okay, now we have the entire support arm, upper and lower, with the adjustment piece there, or the adjustment arm here, in place. Front plate is secure. The way I did it, and this is just a heads up, it worked really well for me by myself. So I connected the 2 bottom bolts to the entire 5 pieces if you count the adjustment piece here, but the front plate, the back plate, the 2 channel arms, sorry, and the adjustment piece here. But basically I adjusted 1, 2, I attached those 2, sorry. Then I brought the front plate, attached bottom, 2 top, and then the last, I tightened those 2 last ones there at the end. So I just hand tightened them to be able to hold them in place. Then you know, get your impact gun, subcompact impact gun. It does just fine. And so then you get this in place, and then you can adjust. This is where the adjustment, you just push that up, you see it goes up, and you also bring it down like that. And then this doesn't really stay down without the basketball hoop on. So you need that weight. I mean, it'll stay in place, but if you just lift it, it goes up on its own. So just keep that in mind when you're working with it so you don't smash your fingers. Now we're gonna attach these 2 arms right here on the front plate. These 2 holes here, they're gonna come out because that's what's gonna support the backboard. But that's it. Let me show you from a distance what it looks like. That's what it should look like. And it should drop down to 7.5 feet and go up to 10.5 feet if you need it. It goes by half foot or 6 inch increments up and down. And depending on your placement of it and how the pole is, that'll determine how level the hoop is. So other than that, you can't really adjust it much from there. But he has it on like a concrete base that can be moved around, but then it's also on a brick base, so it's not perfectly level, but it's pretty good. And that's what it looks like. So let's go on and get these arms on there, these guys, and then we'll work on getting the backboard up and in place. Okay, and then here with the installation of the arms that are gonna hold the backboard. So you can see, just get one in, hand tighten, and it keeps it from falling or anything. It'll rest against the other nuts and bolts here. So I got them both in place. And then we're just gonna get the second hole in place, and the arms will be standing. Like I said, just a hand tighten here is fine to just keep them in place so you can use your hands to do other things as you continue forward with the assembly. So pretty easy to do as it comes together. So okay, so now I'm going to attempt to get this acrylic backboard up there by myself, just getting them into the 2 L brackets there. If I can get those 2 bolts even hand tightened, it'll hold the backboard up there until I get all the other nuts and bolts in place. Just want to show you guys that it is possible for one person to do it here. If not, it's definitely a 2-person job. Here we go. All right, we have the backboard in place with just, if you look right up there, 1, 2 screws. It's just holding it in place. All I had to do was hand tighten it, but it is holding it there. And now we're gonna get the rim and the backboard to line up to the 4 holes on this black metal plate here. So it's gonna look good. But yeah, you could definitely get that backboard up by yourself with a 6-foot ladder and just do the 2 screws. Just take your time, 1 screw at a time, just hand tighten it. So they're still loose, but it holds the backboard up, and then you can tighten it down as you line everything up. So I'll show you that once we're done. Okay, before you go to put the rim up on the backboard there and get all those 4 holes lined up, make sure you get the spring on with the big spring washer. It's the biggest washer, flat washer in the hardware packaging, and then a lock nut there. And I like to put it where the lock nut kind of just goes right past the bolt threading. And make sure it's secure, and then make sure this bolt here, that's the hinge, make sure that's tightened, but not to where these plates smash against the rim holding piece here. So get that assembled, and then we are going to go ahead and take it to the backboard and try to get everything lined up and get the 4 bolts in place. So I got the rim on. So you can see just preliminarily, I just tightened 1 bolt just to hold it in place. But now I can go up here and just get the other washers in place from behind here. I don't know how well my camera doing is, but all these washers here, because I just got 1 holding. So you can do that yourself. Just get 1 to hold the rim, and then you can get all these properly tightened down, and then you go from there. So that's how I was able to get the rim in place by myself. It was a little difficult, but not impossible. And now we got the 4 bolts there, and that plate in between the basket and the rim. This like off-white color one, this beige one, is there as well. So we have everything in place as it needs to be. We'll go forward and I'll show you the outcome. Okay, we got the brackets up there at the top of the plexiglass backboard completely tightened with my impact wrench. And then we got these little, just these little screws with the plastic washers tightened down as well. I put another metal washer back here as an extra reinforcement because it smashes that rubber plastic grommet pretty tightly, so that helps. So the only things I left just hand tightened right now is these 4 bolts, 1, 2, and 3, 4 there. So that way I can adjust the backboard this way, and that way we're going to get it level at the top. So we're going to put my level. We can either put it on the hoop, and as you can see it's not level, but it's pretty close. Well, let's see how level the backboard is, and then we'll go from there. But basically you got to level the rim and the backboard, and you do that by just leaving these 4 bolts down here loose. Okay, that's it. It's all level, squared up nicely. I think it's at the 10-foot height. I'm gonna go ahead and measure it, make sure it's 10 feet off the floor. It is nice and secure, nice and solid. We just got to put this orange plate cover right here. It's just 2 self-tapping screws. I'll show you guys. And this can only go on one way, but it's these 2 screws right here, Phillips screws, with this plate to cover it. It can only go on one way. Okay, so this is basically a really nice solid net. But basically you wrap it around, you push it through, and then you bring it back around and you pull it to where the net comes through this hole, right straight through like that. And this little lip is what keeps the net from coming out of place. So you just do that all the way around, which I'll do. Sorry I couldn't do it with 1 hand, but this is really thick, so I needed both hands to be able to pull it through. But just wrap it over and then grab the loop around, push it in, and that's the end result that you want. Okay, so one way to lower the entire hoop mechanism is, of course, loosen these 4 bolts that hold the U-clamp in place here. And then what you do is, the way I'm doing it, because I have to drop it to here, the bottom of this plate has to be right here for it to be exactly 10 feet. So what I did is you just hit the U-clamps down, just like this. Put them in this direction, right, where they're like that. And then this one as well. And then you just swing the hoop, the entire hoop, back and forth, and it'll drop, you know, inch by inch, ½ inch or so. And I am almost at the line. So just do that and then retighten these 4 bolts. Make sure it's all lined up and you'll have exactly 10 feet. All right, you guys, well, thanks again for tuning in. We got this guy completed, shot a couple buckets to make sure it works just fine. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, if you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, comment, share, click the notification bell. That'll help me be encouraged to continue making videos, and it'll show that you guys are also interested in the type of channel that I have. Here at Mastering Mayhem, we're always looking for the best tools, tech, DIYs, and deals to make life a little easier and work more efficient.